Hi, still working remotely. I'm Richard Rellis with columnist Bob Robb in the mobile Arizona Republican AZ Central newsrooms. And Bob, we talked last week about Governor Ducey's orders around the whole coronavirus, and it seemed like you're making the case this week that if you squint, you could see a rationale for many of the governor's executive orders, but you think this latest one about small businesses goes beyond the pale about ordering them not to be evicted from their commercial properties, right?
Yes, I'm a strict constructionist, and I read the statutes as saying the governor cannot create any new power or authority through his executive orders. He can only exercise those that were previously granted him by the Constitution or statute in terms of what he can do in an emergency. And those are much more limited than what he has been doing. However, if you assume that he has some inherent or implied power to do those things directly related to curtailing the spread of the disease or coping with the medical and managing the medical response to the disease, then a lot of things like the stay-at-home order are within his jurisdiction. But there's nothing about this executive order prohibiting small business evictions that is related to curtailing the spread or managing the medical treatment of the disease. It's intended to deal with the secondary economic consequences. Now, there is a specific state constitutional prohibition against laws that impair the obligations of contract. And this executive order just runs roughshod over that. And if the governor can issue executive orders that have any relationship whatsoever to COVID-19, then there is no real limit on his power because everything these days is related to COVID-19. It dominates all of our lives and all of our experiences.
In other states, there's been a few people who filed lawsuits against their governor's executive orders, Virginia, Pennsylvania. Do you think there's either that this is a spot politically where lawmakers might challenge the governor's order, or second part, how do you think a judge would look upon a challenge to these executive orders, particularly this one about business evictions?
I think a judge, if it were challenged, would have difficulty ignoring the flat constitutional prohibition against laws impairing the obligations of a contract. However, since it's only a temporary order, it's only for a couple months, I doubt that any commercial landlord will go to the expense and the risk by reputation and potentially losing of actually challenging it. The order that I think is more likely ultimately to be challenged is the one that he issued saying that medical professionals dealing with COVID-19 patients aren't subject to liability, except in instances of willful misconduct or gross negligence. It exempts them from civil liability for mere negligence. There is another constitutional provision which says that there can be no law limiting the recovery of damages for causing death or personal injury. So that's one, as this thing unfolds, I can see some plaintiff's lawyer, personal injury lawyer, challenging that is in violation of the constitutional provision. It's awfully hard. We do have some good Samaritan laws, but it's always in instances where the medical professionals are acting voluntarily, not in a professional capacity. Saying that you can't sue for negligence, only for gross negligence, for medical malpractice, I think is, of all the things that he has done, the one most likely ultimately to maybe be challenged.
Right, to have some legal legs, because if all signs stay positive, the commercial landlords probably will start getting pay their rent in short order, but right, maybe malpractice down the line. And it's good to know that while the rest of us are busy video streaming Tiger King, you're spending time rereading the Constitution. Stay safe, Bob. We'll see you next week.
You bet.